Suris is a VTuber who streams on Twitch and uploads highlights to YouTube. Suris has 10,000 followers on Twitch, 55,000 subscribers on YouTube with 1,700 videos and 15 million channel views. His content is centered around politics, religious discussion, philosophy, social issues, drama, and gaming. The oldest video on the channel is from 5 years ago titled, "A Message for My Christian Family."
Whew, this is gonna suck. But this band-aid has been needing to be ripped off for years. To my friends and family who I have not already confined in, I'm an atheist. Bam. Done. I'm a godless heathen and I don't believe in a sky daddy, just like I stopped believing in Santa Claus.
Let's take a look at his most popular videos. Video about atheism with 92,000 views from 4 years ago. Evolutionists say the darndest things with 56,000 views. Paul and Morgan are bigots. Gun girl Caitlyn Bennett melts down. Prager use alarmist transgender rhetoric. Most of his popular videos are from a few years ago. The first video that Suris uploaded covering Eric July that I am aware of is from 7 months ago in April of 2023. Video is titled, "Young Rippa Anti-Trans Freakout Over Spiderverse Trailer."
Alrighty, so apparently we gotta talk about the Spiderverse trailer, because reasons, I guess. I wasn't aware that was a thing we're gonna be talking about at any point, but, you know, apparently it's important! Apparently it's important, at least according to, Young Rippa 59, who has a channel with 512,000 subscribers.
As you can see, Suris uses a catgirl VTuber model. But Suris is not a woman, he is a man. Yikes, not weird at all, huh?
Miles Morales and no, this has not much to do with that character that I understand is many of y'all's favorite tokenized character.
Tokenized character. Miles Morales. Tokenized character. You know, the guy who literally took on the mantle of Spider-Man in the Ultimate Universe for the longest time? Definitely a token. You know, definitely. Maybe you don't know the definition of token, but okay, sure.
You are wrong, Suris. Eric July knows exactly what a token is. He made a video dedicated to the concept, which was well received with over 100,000 views and 12,000 likes. Maybe you are the one who does not know what tokenization is.
So in this trailer, you barely can see it here. It is, and that's going to be the kind of post move, is that, well, it's more subliminal and yada yada. But when you consider the actual subject here, the subject matter that we're discussing, it goes well beyond that. The fact that it's there, it is par for the course of what's going on in Hollywood. Now,
protect trans kids. That's what it says. Protect trans kids. That's fine. What's the problem with a flag that says protect trans kids? Most people who are trans find out that they are trans between the ages of 4 and 6. This is pretty well documented.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
I can't believe you seriously just said that kids find out they are trans from 4 to 6 years old.
People who are trans, or who think they are trans, tend to go on puberty blockers in order to buy themselves time to see if they actually are trans or not. But during that time, they operate as trans to see if that is what works for them, or if they actually are cis and it's just a phase for them.
There is so much wrong with this statement, I don't know where to begin. I'm curious, Suris. If you had a 4-year-old son tell you he is a girl, how would you react? According to the insane statement you just made, I think you would reinforce his false belief and proceed to ruin his life by turning him into something he is not. This is basically criminal behavior, and it's great that more states are stepping up to protect kids from this evil agenda.
For them to figure that out, that's what the puberty blockers are for. It buys them that time, and then, for the duration of that time, and even afterwards, if we figure out that that's the case, the term we would use for them is trans kids. Now, there are people who will take umbrage to that particular way that I'm describing a kid and say that kids aren't trans because kids shouldn't transition! And you're right, but kids don't transition, at least not in the ways that you give a shit about. Most of the ways that you would, quote, transition a kid is socially. Going on puberty blockers is not transitioning. When we're talking about transitioning, we're talking about HRT, which is usually not given until the age of 16. We are talking about surgeries, which are usually not given until the age of 18. By that point, we're not talking about a kid anymore. We are talking about an adult. And when we're talking about somebody who's 16, we're talking about somebody who, at the very least, can make decisions like, I don't know, fucking drive. But okay, sure.
The best way to help a confused child is to get them professional psychological and emotional treatment, not enable the insanity you are pushing.
Regardless of what's an individual person's position on this is, the moniker trans kids is a perfectly apt descriptor. So when we're talking about protect trans kids, what are we talking about? Well, just like a kid might realize that they're gay earlier on, and we have to make sure that they will be safe and protected in a world that largely, for the longest time, was not very kind to kids that were gay, there was arguments made that, oh no, kids can't be gay. But yes, they fucking can. I knew that I liked booba the ripe old age of 10. I knew at that point.
No, you're wrong. Kids do not think about those things. They think about playing video games, watching their favorite cartoons, having fun at the playground with friends, participating in sports and activities. You are projecting your own weird thoughts, and it's honestly creepy.
So, just like protecting gay kids was an important thing to do, protecting bi kids was an important thing to do, protecting trans kids is an important thing to do, and any argument that tries to say that, oh, well, kids can't be this is an argument based in naivete and not listening to the actual things those kids are saying.
Now, you'll see in the room right here, there is it's a flag, looks like a trans flag, and it says protect trans kids. Okay, I've made this point many, many times. There's no such thing, okay? And
there are trans kids. I literally just went on an entire tangent explaining why a kid would be considered trans. Again, trans just means not cis. Any kid that doesn't identify with the gender they're assigned at birth, they are trans. Now, whether they actually decide to transition is a different story.
No, there are males and females. It's that simple. If there is an island of 50,000 trans women and 50,000 men, what would the population be after 100 years? Compare that with an island of 50,000 women and 50,000 men. What would the population be in that scenario? Exactly. Stop denying biology. Nature does not care about your feelings.
look,
Also, Fennec, thank you very much for redeeming your points for an well. But okay.
I hate that this is a conversation that we have to have a discussion about, but it is a very serious one because you have people that are actively acting as if this is something that needs to be normalized.
I mean, it does need to be normalized. Kids are just kids, and sometimes kids are gay, sometimes kids are trans. There's nothing wrong with that, and in fact, allowing a support network for those kids is important in making sure that they are able to figure out who they are in an environment that will not harm them. Protecting kids is a good thing. So, when you're like, oh, this is bad, this is people coming for your kids, snap, shut the fuck up. You're an idiot.
And that is child mutilation. That is doing things to their bodies that...
Child mutilation? You mean like circumcision? I'm sorry, it's not child mutilation, because that's not a thing we're doing. Fucking surgeries are not happening en masse on fucking kids. That's not a thing that's happening, my guy.
Why are you mad, Suris? I know you don't like to hear the truth and it is difficult, but anger does not help win arguments. It makes you appear unhinged.
Irreversible. When you talk about like double mastectomies, which absolutely is happening to young people.
To young people, okay, but are we talking about kids? Double mastectomies, are we talking about kids? You know that that's a thing that it's not the biggest deal in the world. Top surgery is one thing. Bottom surgery is an entirely different thing. Top surgery, I'm just going to go ahead and be honest and say it. If somebody regrets top surgery, if somebody regrets a double mastectomy, they have the option of getting breast implants. They have the option of doing that. Top surgery is largely cosmetic, if that's a thing they actually regret. But again, we're not really doing that en masse to fucking kids.
Did you really just minimize the life-altering negative impacts of top surgery? The amount of stories I have seen from young women who regret getting top surgery when they were a teenager is heartbreaking. They are permanently scarred and lose the ability to produce milk for future children.
So,
This is stuff that is irreversible. Even some of the like hormonal or puberty blockers and all that, it has the side effects that can absolutely have issues. Let's say that.
Okay, have issues. Let's say that. So what are the fucking issues then, my guy? Maybe say what the issues are. Maybe it would be a good idea if you want to talk about this to actually say the things they are. I'll be willing to say what the side effects of puberty blockers are. Bone density. Wow, that's about it. That's really the biggest thing we have. Calcium deficiency. That's mainly what happens with puberty blockers, which is actually a thing that happens with people who just have late onset puberty. Puberty blockers literally just create late onset puberty. That's what they do.
One major side effect of puberty blockers is never being able to produce fertile sperm or eggs. Suris conveniently left this part out.
These people are taking. They are going after people's children.
No, they are not.
What should have been off limits, no matter where you're at ideologically, no matter where you're at politically or socially, it should have been understood that the key...
Shima Kagami, thank you so much for the raid! How was your stream? Also, if we think that kids should not be gone after ideologically, I want to agree. Kids are now banned from church. Kids are now banned from all churches. They are not allowed to step foot in any religious organization at all. Night Aquarius, thank you very much for the follow. They have to be. Like, if you're going to be consistent, don't interfere with a child's ideology. Don't do that. Okay, cool. Let's keep that consistency. Let's keep that going. And keep kids out of church. It is now illegal to have a kid in a church.
Comparing a widely accepted religion to a fringe woke ideology is foolish.
Kids, stay out of that. The kids, the children are not supposed to be a part of that. And they could not at least do that for you.
But again, here's the issue. There are situations where a kid needs to at least have the knowledge that this is a possibility for them or their body, because puberty blockers as a medicine, which again does not have any major side effects aside from, again, the bone density one, which can be treated with supplements. For somebody to know that that is even an option for them, they need to at least have had that conversation. Maybe it would be important to have this conversation with kids around the same time we are giving them things like sex ed. You know, right before the ye olde cusp of puberty, where we try to explain that, you know, kids should not be having sex, but they should at least know how to do it safely, because hormones are a thing. You know, just kind of important. Said Xander Hall triggered young Rippa? Good, this guy deserves to be triggered.
This is what people mean by indoctrination. Those confused kids should trust their parents and seek psychological treatment or other reasonable treatments available. Not make drastic decisions based on what they heard their crazy teachers say. We are at a point in society where kids are hiding information from their parents because they are encouraged by woke radical teachers to, quote, be their true self. Utter insanity.
And look, the reason why this stuff is, you know why it's put in like a lot of the material, definitely that is more geared towards young people where this stuff is going. And it's quite disgusting, but it ultimately boils down to that they want to, it's not just normalization through culture, but they're using children to validate themselves.
Who's using children to validate themselves? Who's they? Is they just trans people? Is they just trans people? Are trans people using children to validate themselves? I don't see any real evidence of that.
Stop playing stupid. They are using children to validate themselves because they feel alone as adults in their existence. And since children represent new life, these adults want to see younger versions of themselves. It's a disturbing fantasy. So they insert themselves in positions of authority and trust within schools, political office, and corporate to have more influence in pushing their agenda.
Don't.
And their line of thinking. And that's where it becomes disgusting. There's no such thing. When I hear people, the fact that we even having to discuss trans, it's not a such thing, dude. That is.
Yeah, there is. A kid who doesn't identify with their gender. Yeah. Gender assigned at birth. That's a trans kid. Just like a trans adult is just an adult that doesn't identify with their gender or they're assigned at birth.
It's not a such thing. And
Yes,
to see
there
people
is.
try to gaslight. I talk about this on the Blaze all.
Nobody's gaslighting you. We overuse that word and people have no idea what the fuck it even means anymore.
Suris posted a second video about Eric July 1 week after the first video in April of 2023. It's titled, Young Rippa Responds, Calls Me a Degenerate.
Alright guys, so a little bit of history before this video actually goes live. So I made a video about the opinions of one YouTuber named Young Rippa59. There's probably a handful of his audience who are going to be watching this video because they're here for the blood sport. They want to see the back and forth. They want to see the fight between this young degenerate and their, well, they ain't looking so young anymore, but you know, their person they stand for reasons, I guess. What I found is that Young Rippa's audience is actually made up of clowns. Because all they decided to do, instead of actually looking at any of the papers I sent them, instead of engaging in, I don't know, actual conversation or discourse, they decided to go ahead and at Rippa Goalposts. If you don't know Rippa Goalposts, they're basically a account that sucks Young Rippa's toes. The entire point of that account is to find people, and yes, this video is probably going to be shouted out by them as well, who say things disparaging about Young Rippa so that he can do Bloodsport content on them. This person is desperate to be a pick-me for their thing or person that they actually stan. I went ahead and called them a clown on Twitter because, let's be honest, that's what they are.
Don't care, didn't ask, cry about it, stay mad, get real, L mauled, seed cope.
Apparently, my mild take of saying child mutilation is bad has kicked this sort of nest of a bunch of degenerates, gay furries and whatnot. And
I like how a bunch of degenerates is, just me.
they have doing a bunch of videos and they have some interesting things to say. So there's one guy, Rippaverse Goalposts did a post about guy. I don't know what this person identifies as. It's not actually important to me, but they had some interesting things to say about myself. So what we're gonna do is go through some of these videos and see what it is that they're gonna say. Favorite tokenized character.
Tokenized character. Miles Morales. Tokenized character. The guy who literally took on the mantle of Spider-Man in the Ultimate Universe for the longest time. Definitely a token. Definitely. Maybe you don't know the definition of token, but...
Well, I've defined it very thoroughly, you dumb son of a bitch. You can go watch my video. It's actually titled, I believe, Tokenism and Tokenization Explained. Now, I don't care how a degenerate uses the term. That's actually not important to it at all. If you want to...
I like how "you dumb son of a bitch" is the first thing that's said here. Also, he doesn't care how I use the term. The only important way to use the term is how he uses the term. Let's talk about the definition of tokenism first. It's the practice of making only a perfunctory or symbolic effort to do a particular thing, especially by recruiting a small number of people from an underrepresented group in order to give the appearance of sexual or racial equality within a workforce. Making a character who is black is not tokenism. There's nothing about that is tokenism. That's just a character who's black. I'm sorry.
Miles Morales is not an original character. Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Miles barely has anything unique to his character. He will always be overshadowed by Peter Parker.
When white people were thrown into the mix of enemies in Resident Evil 5, so that it seemed like it wasn't just black people being shot in that game, that is an example of tokenism. They were only brought in solely for the purpose of alleviating criticism.
Miles Morales is... Miles Morales.
Also, another example of this would be the trans character that was dropped in Hogwarts Legacy. They are a token character because the devs specifically have said that they did it just to keep trans people off of their backs. That's tokenism. That's what that is.
Miles Morales is... Miles Morales.
There's several videos out there that exist. I've defined this very thoroughly. It's not just a catch-all term that I use just willy-nilly. So you're free to go watch that.
Okay, sure.
Thinks that they are something else that they're not. Definitely a youngster when you consider that they're young and they could be going through all sorts of different things. I'm willing to bet that I thought I was a Ninja Turtle or something like that growing up. It's not legit.
I have a question. Is Ninja Turtle something that we actually can be as human beings? No? Okay, then it's not valid. A dragon is not something that a human being can be, so it's not valid. A cat is not something that a human being can be, not valid. Gender, on the other hand, is well within the social spectrum of what people can be. We can be a different gender because we can be, human beings can be female, can be male.
Yes, a human being can be either female or male. Two options.
And because in any 2 points on a spectrum, there's necessarily something in between, even when you have the numbers 1 and 2, there's an infinite number of numbers in between 1 and 2. When you have 2 points on a bimodal spectrum, then you have shit in between. That shit in between isn't dragons. Like, there are things that are valid to be, and there are things that are not valid to be.
What? What the fuck?
Nice try, but there is female and there is male.
But okay, let's keep going.
It's not something that needs to be validated, certainly considering that I am not a freaking Ninja Turtle by any means. It's cool to have fun and do little stuff like that. But like, as far as who exactly that I am, we don't apply this logic to anything else. But for whatever reason, when it comes to this subject matter, all logic goes out the window where we would allow a young person that is talking about how they find out when they're 4 to 6, maybe taught by the parents or the teachers or something of that nature. But
certainly it must be the parents or teachers that taught that. Ignoring the fact that there are plenty of kids who identify outside of the gender that they were assigned at birth, and yet have parents, and may even live in states, so therefore have teachers, who are largely transphobic. Like, they wouldn't have any reason to actually be that gender as taught by somebody else. They just kind of exist as that.
Nobody is scared. Mentally stable and responsible parents and teachers who protect kids by not enabling delusions are awesome people. Those who stand up against the woke mob are principled people. Your labels don't scare anybody.
steer them in a lane and allow them to like live out this sort of weird concept of them being something it is that they are not. You're attempting to normalize the hate, that position.
No, I'm not normalizing that position. I'm normalizing the position of, if a child says they might be trans or believes they might be, then you just get them professional help.
I agree, but something tells me we have a completely different understanding of what is considered professional help.
That professional help may determine that they actually don't need to do anything. That professional help may suggest that you actually socially transition your child. Let them pick their name, let them dress the way they want to dress, and if it ends up being a phase, then it's a phase, and it drops off, and then you're all hunky-dory. But if it doesn't drop off, then around the age where they start experiencing puberty symptoms, you start administering puberty blockers to block those symptoms so that you can buy the time required for the child for when they actually are old enough to make that decision for themselves. The statement, most trans people realize they're trans early in life, as early as 4 and 6, the actual research shows between 4 and 12, or between 3 and 12, mind you. The actual research says between 3 and 12.
How does one debate the mentally ill or radical activists? What is there to say against the craziness except to call it crazy?
Blockers in order to buy themselves time to see if they actually are trans or... Oh god, he's so pissed about that.
These people, it's good this person's a VTuber, they're not going to put themselves out there. Lord knows what the hell is on their, hard drive and all kinds of other weird stuff. Nonetheless.
Now I understand why so much of Young Rippa's audience decided to call me a pedophile. So first of all, let's go ahead and get one thing out of the way. Ignoring the fact that my cats have just destroyed this, my public face is public information. My first and last name are public information. I like that Young Rippa, we'll go ahead and go with escalation theory. I like how Young Rippa is fucking stupid enough to say that without actually doing any bit of research. I shouldn't expect more than he's intellectually capable of. But yes, my face is well known. My name is well known. These are not things I hide. These are not aspects of myself that I keep away from my community. Every stream I go live on here recently is a mix between VTuber streaming and IRL streaming. You decided to just knee-jerk reaction and respond to somebody's Twitter clips of my video instead of doing any research for yourself. But that's why we're going to make money off of each other.
I have one very important question for Suris. Why did you let your cats destroy your chair?
Like, think about that. Like, he's talking about it like it's normal. Like, we're going to do something. Your body is supposed to do. Like, you are built that way. God made you in the way that you are, and it's something.
You know, I like when you do the whole, like, God made you that way. I don't give a shit about your God. I don't have any reason to believe your God exists. Let's not go ahead and bring him up. If you want to bring God up into this conversation, then he can speak for himself. But until such a time where he's able to do that, then I guess we'll just not worry about his opinion on this situation. I don't give a shit what God says until he decides to actually say it.
You want to know something, bro? 5.8 billion people are affiliated with a religious group. That's 84% of the world population. So you're going to have to deal with it.
Harm their bodies. We're talking about something that, as a growing person, a growing child, this is what's going to happen to your body. It is as natural gets. And you're saying that...
You know what else is natural? Arsenic. Cancer. There's a lot of things that are natural. Natural doesn't mean it's good. If somebody's suffering from dysphoria, puberty may be natural, but it's not a good thing or a healthy thing for them.
Male is natural. Female is natural. Husband and wife making love and having a baby is natural. The nuclear family is natural. The weird agenda you're pushing is unnatural and leads to misery, and the data supports this.
Or talking as if it's normal to give them something that either prevents that growth or halts that growth. That's not normal, dude.
Yeah, it's not normal, but normal is not a measurement of whether something is good or bad. Nobody gives a fuck about normal. It used to be considered abnormal to give people surgery of any kind. Normal is not a measurement that matters.
The kids, man. That is not a normal thing.
Suris returned a few months later, posting a third video about Eric July in August of 2023. The video is titled, Eric July, the Strike-Breaking Scab.
Alright, remember the last time I covered Eric July? I remember the last time I covered Eric July. Everything was on fire and I kept being called a nasty word we use to describe people with children. but I guess I'll go ahead and cover him again because he's got some opinions about the writer's strike. Let's go ahead and take a look at that.
Because as talked about right here, they're bracing for an actor strike. This union has informed industry publicists to brace themselves for potential actor strike in Hollywood if negotiations fail with the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. So not only did you have the whole writer's strike thing, you now have the actors striking as well. The National Board has...
Yeah, because a lot of times the actors will actually stand with their writers.
One producer told Variety that it would be a miracle if an agreement were reached. So the actors go on strike. It will likely put the upcoming promotion for Barbie, Oppenheimer, Mission Impossible, and Mission Impossible if the union actor bars actors from speaking about their current projects. The unions are so silly because they force...
Wait. How? How is that silly? How is that silly? How is it silly for a union to go, hey, we're on strike. These are the picket lines. Don't cross the picket lines. How's that silly?
The article says the union may prohibit actors from promoting their upcoming projects while on strike. You want to say all actors should stand in solidarity and not accept any acting work during the strike? Fine. But do you really think it is not silly for the union to restrict actors from talking about their past work? Too strict.
What? How? This is the motherfucker who thinks that we don't need to pay for fucking roads! Jesus Christ.
Everybody into this kind of gang, if you will, and then everybody has to be on one accord. And they
yes, because that's the okay. So here's how a union works. Okay, here's how a union functions. When the union members are not getting paid enough, or not getting health care benefits, or not getting what they need from their employers, the union goes, okay, then if you are going to do that, then we are going to revoke the use of anybody who is in the union here. You may say, well, that's very stupid, because then how will I not get my entertainment? Nobody gives a fuck about your entertainment. Let's talk about why this is a good thing. Because if you do not have a picket line, the companies can do is they can wait for there to be people who go, oh, but I'll do that job. I'll do that job for less pay. Oh, you were only paying him $15 an hour? Well, I need work right now. I'll do it for $12. They will exploit themselves in order to get some amount of pay. The function of a union is to provide pay during a strike.
This section of the article is talking about post-production, not accepting new acting gigs. Keep up.
Otherwise, the only person who ever has power in the dynamic of you and the employer is the employer. Now, there are corrupt unions. I'm not going to deny that. The police union's a thing that exists. But if you do not have that grouping of people working on your behalf, then you will get continually less pay. Because if you do not work for the lower amount of pay, then the minute they do not need somebody with your level of experience, you may be let go, and somebody who has less experience, who is willing to do the job for less pay, will come in and take your job from you. That's what a union's for, Eric. The whole point of a union is to make it so that people get paid fairly, or in this case, with AI, at all.
Okay, but that's not what Eric is calling silly. The problem is that the union does not allow actors to promote their upcoming work, which negatively impacts their future earnings if the movie or show performs poorly. They're all endorsing a strike. A strike brings incredible hardships, so many and no one wants. But we are prepared to strike if it comes to that. The letter said, adding that the 2023 became an unprecedented inflection point in our industry. So they have a lot of the digital changes that, with streaming services, and they feel like they're not getting paid accordingly, as well as this threat of AI, which...
Oh, so he actually knows the reasons why they're striking, and he's just being stupid.
No, you are the one being stupid by making assumptions about what Eric is saying and putting words in his mouth and disguising your assumptions as questions to try and minimize the obvious bias you have towards Eric. This reaction by you is very disingenuous.
Hilariously enough, that threat might become more prominent in the event that that's more so, I guess, applying to the writers. But in general, the industry itself is going to find itself people looking at that as more of an option. Let's say these producers as these strikes and negotiations seem to fail.
Wait, did Eric just make the dumb fucking point that if the actors and the companies cannot come to an agreement, then the companies would just use AI to replace them anyway? That the AI that would be based off of models off of their writing and their voice banks, that is part of the negotiations to begin with? You realize that the whole point of this is that you could bring somebody under legal fire for that, right, Eric? You understand that.
Why are you lying? This is exactly what I meant by you disguising your assumptions as questions and throwing in a lie or two and thinking that you're slick. Obvious bad faith.
That if they strike, the companies will use AI more. Does this guy like the taste of boots? Does he just love the taste of boots? I mean, he was on Michael Knowles recently. I guess he does love the taste of boots. But yes, Eric, there is a threat of people in industries being replaced by AI. There is a threat of that. That is a thing that people are trying to figure out how they're going to navigate.
Eric said that people are looking at artificial intelligence as an option. Eric is sharing his interpretation of the article and speculating on what Hollywood executives might be planning if the strike negotiations fail. Eric is not declaring his own personal stance on the subject here, but rather commenting on what the article is saying. Suris posted a fourth video about Eric July 2 months ago in September of 2023. Video is titled, Pronouns in My Starfield? Suris reacted to the viral heel versus babyface pronouns rant and decided to also react to Eric July's video defending heel versus babyface.
Y'all know I had to speak on this issue. Shout out to Az. He did it was a rant. Let's just call it exactly.
No, it was a childish goddamn meltdown, and you're about to defend it.
What it was, and it is to me as that's him at his best. That's him at his best.
This is him at his best. Heel versus babyface at his best is when he is having a childish meltdown screaming. Wow!
Yes, that was one of the best rants I have ever seen, and he was speaking nothing but facts.
Talking passionately about various subjects, especially gaming.
Passion. We're calling it passion now? Okay.
Some people believe he got too emotional and made himself and everyone around him look bad. I disagree. Many people fully understood the frustration.
Sure.
That's what a lot of people, well, let's say the industry that a lot of people was introduced to him, heel versus babyface, for you guys that don't know who it is that I'm talking about. And he was talking about Starfield, obviously. And, you know, he had played it like, he has played almost 20 hours of it. And the context of his rant was just a bunch of different things. Same stuff that we've been talking about on this channel. We've talked about, or other people have talked about on their channels, and what plagues various entertainment forums right now. And as to be expected, usual suspects, as well as all of these just big YouTubers that talk about gaming, had to chime in because, well, it's safe, right? It's the overreacting guy. He's triggered.
Yeah, he is. He's triggered, and it's funny. He's being a little fucking bitch.
Expressing frustration of the woke agenda that has infected something you love is not being triggered. Was there an element of exaggeration for entertainment? Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with that.
He's talking about the woke, the anti-SJWs are at it again, because that is the safe position to take, even though they're...
Oh, it has nothing to do with it being the safe position. It has everything to do with it being the right position. These are... So, like, this is the thing that people like Young Rippa, Eric July, heel versus babyface, all of them, they try to go like, look at us! We are the real counterculture! We are the true people! That we are the ones! We are the renegades! But the reality is... It doesn't matter if you're counterculture. It doesn't matter if you're safe or not. What matters is if you're correct, if you're right. What matters is what reality says, not whose side who's on. I don't give a fuck about this culture war shit. None of it fucking matters.
It doesn't appear as though you are carefree of the culture war. It looks like you are an active participant, considering all the talking points distributed by leftist establishment that you spout every day on stream.
The culture war only matters to people who desperately want it to. You fucking degen. Can't wait to see this pop up on Rippaverse Goalposts again.
There are plenty examples of pro-social justice weirdos spazzing out all over the internet. They don't got shit to say about that because it's not safe. But now all of a sudden they want to grow a nutsack on this on this issue.
Okay, but see, what are they freaking out about is the question. Because like, let's go ahead and let's find the most SJW cucked position somebody can take. Ultimately, what is it going to boil down to? It's going to boil down to the world is unjust and I want it to change. We can make fun of the way that somebody melts down over that, but the reality is what they're wanting is a world that is largely unjust to remain, to not remain the way it is, to change, to get better. What Heel vs. Babyface did was freak out because his fantasy video game asked him to make a character. That's what happened. And part of the character creation process is picking the gender of your character. And the way it decided to ask him the gender of his character made him whiny. It made him a little pissant. That's what happened, Eric.
If it looks like a dude, safe to say it's a dude. If it looks like a chick, safe to say it's a chick. No need for these pronouns in the character customization screen. Is it a big deal? No. Would I get upset and scream about it? No. Did Heel vs. Babyface get upset and lose control? I doubt it. He entertained his audience. That's the purpose of the rant, to entertain. Mock him all you want, it was funny as hell.
That speaks to this whole thing. These guys are as chicken shit as they come. And that's what I'm finding hilarious. Every time it's the same position. It's so many examples of these folks spazzing out. Leftists particularly spazzing out in the video game industry, the various entertainment industries, and they ain't got nothing to say. Because they know they would get grilled and they're too chicken shit to take that position. It's too...
Okay, cool. Let me go ahead and... You know what? Fine, Eric. Fine. I'll take that position. I've done it before in a previous video. I'll do it again. I'm a leftist. I'll take that position. Anybody that gets really upset at you for playing Hogwarts Legacy is not actually your friend. The Wizard video game didn't fucking do anything.
I agree. The chaos over Hogwarts Legacy was extremely stupid. Activists exposed themselves as fake by giving their supposed friends ultimatums threatening to cut ties if they play the game. Leftists are terrified of the mob they pander to.
There are people who grew up with Harry Potter, do not see it as a symbol of hate, do not enjoy it as a symbol of hate, and in fact, have ethically picked up the game in a way that does not contribute to J.K. Rowling's pockets, either through piracy or by picking up the game secondhand. Doesn't matter.
Did you just say piracy of Hogwarts Legacy is ethical? J.K. Rowling is a legend, and it's hilarious watching her trigger you weirdos.
The fact of the matter is, it is more important to focus on issues that actually matter. The Wizard game was a red herring and a scapegoat the entire time, and Harry Potter, as a franchise, will outlive J.K. Rowling and will be better for it. And that's okay. If you want to enjoy the Wizard video game, go fucking enjoy the Wizard video game. It doesn't matter. People who get upset at you because you bought a thing to entertain yourself, 9 times out of 10, have nothing better to do with their lives.
Suris, you gain some of my respect by expressing what you truly believe, even though it could upset your audience. I still think you're a nutjob, though.
So go ahead, Eric. Let's go ahead and do this whole... We take the safe position. We're scared of the backlash from our audience. There's going to be people who unsubscribe from my channel for this opinion right now. There's probably people who've left the chat in this subathon for me showing this opinion right now. But go ahead. We're definitely the cowards, buddy. 100%.
Too dangerous, but it's safe because, well, you're really taking a side of the establishment on this specific issue as it pertains to diversity and inclusivity and equity and all these other damn buzz terms. I'm not knocking anybody that want to have fun playing Starfield. If that's your thing, that's your business. I do think...
Just like he doesn't knock trans people for wanting to live their life as being trans, but then he makes an entire career out of freaking out about, trans people. Weird that.
Why do you sound depressed all of a sudden, Suris? At the beginning of this video, you were in a great mood and excited to react to Eric's take on Starfield pronouns. But now you're deflated. Is it because you feel bad after saying it's okay to play Hogwarts Legacy, and you are now worried of how your super woke audience will react? Come on, man. Cheer up.
That people are exhausted. I'll acknowledge that as well. Because they've seen a lot of weird stuff plague these industries, a lot of stuff that has infiltrated basically every entertainment asset that was once popular.
Let's continue.
They're definitely the AAA studios and gaming. And with their storylines and stuff. And there's other issues that of course plague the industry as well, but let's talk about that. And a lot of folks want to return to normalcy. Here's the thing.
There's no such thing as a return to normalcy. Normalcy is whatever is normal at the time. Pronouns are normal. Deal with it.
Not gonna get back.
Yes, he and she are normal. All the extra stuff is not normal. Pressuring people to state their pronouns during introductions at meetings and similar scenarios is not normal. Causing a panic over getting misgendered is not normal. The vast majority of people use pronouns in a normal way. What you consider normal is completely different. Your normal is radical.
To normalcy by ignoring away the problem. If you enjoy the game and you think that it's fun, that's okay. And this is the funny thing, like they're not talking about what Az had to say in context either. It's just a pronoun, not talking about the other stuff it is that he's bringing up. And then
What other stuff? The video that's gone viral is the 2.5-minute rant of pronouns. Most people are only talking about that because that's the thing they saw. That's the thing that's gone viral.
they're not even really forming an argument against what it is that he said. It's that, hey, oh, look at this guy, he's just passionate and he's screaming and stuff. That's all that they're bringing up. You're not actually making an argument.
Yeah, let's go ahead and make an argument. Pronouns are a basic part of the English language. They are a thing that we use to communicate with each other about how other people exist, and that's it. Okay. There's more than 101 pronouns, Razor. There's 5,682, and every time one of the right-wingers bitch, we add 12 more.
There it is. This is a game to you, and you don't take it seriously. You use extra pronouns as a way to further the agenda.
Now, this is my thing. You cannot ignore this away. If you want to return to normalcy, you can take both positions, right? If you absolutely have to play this game, or you just needed a RPG that you wanted to have some fun with, or it's just not a make or break for you, you can say that or have that position while also admitting that, well, this goofy stuff is there. Especially with this whole pronoun stuff. People can act like, oh, well, what's the big deal? Wait a minute.
Why does it matter? It's character creation.
Have you not been paying attention?
To what?
Certain industries and even countries have it to where you in the wrong and maybe even criminal for misgendering somebody. You act like, oh, it's not a big deal that these people are leaning into this nonsense. That's a gaslight.
It's not a gaslight.